Greetings, superior beings, greetings, supreme being, welcome to Universal Peace Television. This is the broadcast additional protocol to the International Atomic Energy Agency Safeguards Nuclear Agreement, I.A.E.A. Yay. So, I switch to the basic view, switch off live dashboard. Okay. And then we go to the thing that got this started. Basically, we see highly cited under Iran nuclear deal. You can, in Google News, the fake news, you can enter your own subjects, and then Google News will select articles on that subject covered in the news. And then we see under Iran nuclear deal, additional protocol, highly cited International Atomic Energy Agency, September 1st, 2016. So the question is, should they allow these inspections under that protocol to the I.A.E.A. Safeguards Agreement, which is what we've been reading. I've covered several articles in previous broadcasts as well. So we have that protocol, and according to several sources, Iran must allow these inspections of their nuclear facilities or they're breaching their nuclear agreement. And that information is supposedly contained in the I.A.E.A. Safeguards Protocol. It links to this thing that's on IAEA.org. Topics, additional protocol. And then if we search on inspections, basically the word inspect is not present on this page, but on another page, I.A.E.A. publications, fact sheets, I.A.E.A. safeguards overview, that provides a little bit more information. What kinds of inspections are done? What is the additional protocol to safeguards agreement? Measures under additional protocols. So let's read this part about the I.A.E.A. Complementary Inspection Authority. A document granting the I.A.E.A. Complementary Inspection Authority. And of course, I've advised President Trump to first have an agreement with President Putin if they decide to nuke the facilities that don't allow the inspections to prevent World War III. And it may be better to keep the Iran nuclear agreement, and it may just be a matter of providing them with a list of suspect sites, as covered by the New York Times also. And as soon as they have that list, they will comply and do the inspections. Okay, so somebody should check that as well. Anyway, let's read this on the I.A.E.A.'s own website, IAEA.org.
What is the additional protocol to safeguards agreements? The additional protocol is a legal document granting the I.A.E.A. complementary inspection authority to that provided in underlying safeguards agreements. A principal aim is to enable the I.A.E.A. inspectorate to provide assurance about both declared and possible undeclared activities. Under the protocol, the I.A.E.A. is granted expanded rights of access to information and sites. An overview of the strengthened safeguards measures under additional protocols and comprehensive safeguards agreements follows. Measures under additional protocols. State provision of information about, and I.A.E.A. inspector access to, all parts of a state's nuclear fuel cycle, including uranium mines, fuel fabrication and enrichment plants, and nuclear waste sites. as well as to any other location where nuclear material is or may be present. State provision.
So that's very widely formulated. Access to any location where nuclear material is or may be present. So you could interpret it as they have to provide access to any site where nuclear material may be present.
Of information on, and I.A.E.A. short notice access to, all buildings on a nuclear site. The protocol provides for I.A.E.A. inspectors to have complementary access to assure the absence of undeclared nuclear material or to resolve questions or inconsistencies in the information a state has provided about its nuclear activities. Advance notice in most cases is at least 24 hours. The advance notice is shorter, at least 2 hours, for access to any place on a site that is sought in conjunction with design information verification or ad hoc or routine inspections at that site. The activities carried out during complementary access could include examination of records, visual observation, environmental sampling, utilization of radiation detection and measurement devices, and the application of seals and other identifying and tamper-indicating devices. I.A.E.A. collection of environmental samples at locations beyond declared locations when deemed necessary by the agency. Wider area environmental sampling would require I.A.E.A. board approval of such sampling and consultations with the state concerned. I.A.E.A. right to make use of internationally established communications systems, including satellite systems and other forms of telecommunication. State acceptance of I.A.E.A. inspector designations and issuance of multiple entry visas, valid for at least 1 year, for inspectors. State provision of information about, and I.A.E.A. verification mechanisms for, its research and development activities related to its nuclear fuel cycle. State provision of information on the manufacture and export of sensitive nuclear-related technologies, and I.A.E.A. verification mechanisms for manufacturing and import locations in the state. Measures under comprehensive safeguards agreements. I.A.E.A. collection of environmental samples in facilities and at locations where inspectors have access during inspections and design information verification, with sample analysis at the I.A.E.A. Clean Laboratory and/or its certified laboratories in member states. I.A.E.A. use of unattended and remote monitoring of movements of declared nuclear material in facilities and the transmission of authenticated and encrypted safeguards relevant data to the agency. I.A.E.A. expanded use of unannounced inspections within the scheduled routine inspection regime. I.A.E.A. enhanced evaluation of information from a state's declarations. I.A.E.A. verification activities and a wide range of open sources. State provision of design information on new facilities and on changes in existing facilities as soon as the state authorities decide to construct, authorize construction or modify a facility. The I.A.E.A. has the continuing right to verify the design information over the facility's life cycle, including decommissioning, state voluntary reporting on imports and exports of nuclear material and exports of specified equipment and non-nuclear material. Components of this reporting are incorporated in the Model Additional Protocol. Closer cooperation between the I.A.E.A. and the state, and regional, systems for accounting for and control of nuclear material in member states. Provision of enhanced training for I.A.E.A. inspectors and safeguards staff and for member state personnel responsible for safeguards implementation.
So I'm also wondering how the US would isolate itself. Well, how they'd isolate themselves if they drop the nuclear agreement. Perhaps somebody can Skype me about this. It sounds kind of like a donkey. I.A.E.A. 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 Nuclear agreement. So preventing beats curing, and I'm still seriously for dismantling all these nuclear weapons. It's still cheaper than a nuclear world war. Single ladies are welcome for the free shiatsu hand massage. And of course they give you all kinds of ideas to separate us and isolate us from each other, to depopulate us and rule the world from Jerusalem after depopulating to 500 million total global population. The $1 million Georgia Guidestones with human blood on top are clear about this, and so are the book quotes that prove beyond any reasonable doubt that they have conspired to commit genocide, or rather democide. They've also infiltrated the government. And there are also non-Jews who are helping with the illegal depopulation in violation of the Genocide Convention. It seems like they're illegally erasing my memory. Recently, that occurs more frequently when I have a good idea. So I'm for arresting, and lots of people are for arresting, these committee of 300 members. And all Freemasons, all members of secret societies that want to depopulate Earth, especially murderers that have murdered many people already. And because they control these judges with their directed energy weapons, a fair trial is impossible. Of course, the directed energy torture weapons are used by the intel agencies, which are Masonic according to Citizens Action Network on Facebook. And their leader is Adolfo Nicholas, so if a world war breaks out and you have to overthrow him and take over to create a perfect society in which we all will live happily eternally, to end that world war. They've planned to depopulate Earth to 500 million, to rule the world from Jerusalem. It's done by the Jesuits, of course, and the Masons. And they are partners in crime, of course. They are the most evil, ultra sadistic people on the planet. They've tortured 50 million innocent people to death. And they're famous for their Inquisition, the Jesuit world wars, and they were expelled from so many countries like the Jews. And I've listed the 6 Jews that want to depopulate Earth, but I've made clear that lots of these people are non-Jews that are helping them. And Pope Bergoglio, the first Jesuit Pope, might not be Jewish, but he was elected Jewish Man of the Year, so that's also special. And I was wondering about this speech of Kennedy, the famous secret society speech, if that is a correct sentence. If we go to 1 minute 33 seconds, right here. Okay, let's listen to this.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy
We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy. Shouldn't it be opposed to a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy? Anyway, Fritz Springmeier and others make clear that the Kennedys are another satanic bloodline. So you can all study that online. It's a nice and sunny day in the Netherlands, in Mijdrecht. And I can cover some other articles, but perhaps it's more fun if I talk. So it's just better to be prepared with that radiological water filter and storable food. There is no reason not to prepare if you're in a civilized country. And the main thing you need is water, a radiological water filter, if you don't want to die of the nuclear contamination. Perhaps I should show you all the depleted uranium babies again. So the Luciferian UN has done nothing about the depleted uranium war crime, white phosphorus war crime, and the tactical nukes going off in Syria war crime. And Lucifer Trust basically is now called Lucis Trust. They work with Lucis Trust, which you can also Google. It used to be called Lucifer Trust. And then of course you have John Kerry of Skull and Bones. So I think that this is more interesting, the I.A.E.A. Safeguards Overview, I.A.E.A. Comprehensive Safeguards Agreements and Additional Protocols. That talks more about inspections. The other document that's highly cited, the Additional Protocol document, does not mention inspection at all. The additional protocol increases the IAEA's ability to provide much greater assurance on the absence of undeclared nuclear material and activities in those states. So I think the idea that they have to have reasonable suspicion and everything, that's weird, because how can they know if they haven't done the inspections, you know? So then what's the point of doing the inspections when you already know they have nuclear weapons there? The idea that was erased was about a conspiracy fact, not a conspiracy theory. Before I was talking about erasing thoughts. I'm a conspiracy factist, not a conspiracy theorist. So you all can read that for yourselves. I could add these addresses to the video. But I think I will not. This is what it looks like on Google. And this one is the other one that's highly cited. It looks like this. If it's still listed. Additional protocol, highly cited, etc. So if they have planned a third Jesuit world war to depopulate Earth to 500 million and rule the world from Jerusalem, then what have they got to lose? Then they've got to lose, of course, yeah, and people have to win. Netanyahu must demand Trump, quote, suspend, amend or annul, quote, Iran nuclear deal, Israeli intel minister says, covered in my previous broadcast, together with another New York Times article and several other articles. Including this Gorka Trump administration must end Iran nuclear deal. It's only one option. So I would think they are going for sanctions, which will drive up the cancer oil prices. So getting a full tank at Tango or whatever might be a good idea if we're not going to drive in that water-powered car for now, perhaps in Germany soon and in the rest of the world. But if there's a world war, then you'd better have the evidence on a CD-ROM, because the rest is erased by the electromagnetic pulse. Of course, there may also be ISIS attacks, and if ISIS is CIA and they're missing nukes, then that can happen, of course. Alex Jones reported about missing nukes, control the position, shield the gatekeeper, etc. So they form controlled opposition to themselves, and it's mainly done by the Jesuits and Freemasons. So I'm not for exterminating all Jews or all Muslims or any other group of people. Or should we exterminate all Freemasons, all Jesuits and all committee of 300 members, or at least those that advocated and have depopulated the earth, that have murdered millions of people. Perhaps I should show these depleted uranium babies and the tactical nukes going off, etc. But many people already know, and you can Google that yourselves. So I'm gonna get some tea. That's not my own creation, so there can be anti-Semitic stuff, pictures that are found online, because it's on topic basically. Preventing human culling and depopulation, these 6 Jews that want to depopulate Earth, and non-Jews like the Turner of CNN helping them, covered in my previous broadcasts. For a totalitarian, Luciferian global government. And these people pose as Christians, Orthodox Jews, etc., but they lead a double life as Luciferians. All Freemasons are Luciferians. Okay? So, for believers, you are commanded to kill these people, and Abraham stood up and slew the Egyptian, not to redeem a murderer from the death penalty for money, not to convict anyone without a fair trial, and Abraham stood up and slew the Egyptian, and Abraham stood up and cured the Egyptian. But, like I've explained, religion is an abomination, religion is an illusion. If you're trying to do the right thing for the people, you may only kill murderers, then you are an executioner, you're not a murderer. Especially if the government is not arresting these people. Pedo elite can cut up children and rape people and torture people to death and get away with it with their code white, which changes daily according to Fritz Springmeier, who may also be controlled opposition. So he also gave us some hypnotic triggers like disarm, 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 the alpha and omega, shut down, and some others that are listed, but those are about the only good ones. Basically, the rest is more to make people commit suicide and kill people, etc. And I don't know if any of those work, but it is possible that so few people have read it and believe in it that they think we can leave it the same. And that fragments of old programs may still be around, so that it's a good thing to help to prevent the system from being abused. To depopulate Earth instead of protect and serve the taxpayers. To control these factors that control aging during our lifetime, instead of exterminate ourselves in some bloody Third Jesuit World War and for bloody global government. So I made the anti-global government movement, and the program is in the previous videos, but it boils down to the 4 phases of reversed ideological subversion. Ideological subversion, active measures, is their strategy to take over the world. So we have to turn that around. We need moralization. We're all the human race. No need to pretend that we're not descendants of Lucy and the hominids, the monkeys, because evolution is scientifically proven. When my VU meter is hanging, then I just repeat what I say to be sure that it's on, that it's in this broadcast. This is an anti-Semitic image from dailystormer.com or not. So humanization, stabilization. You can check these phases of active measures for yourselves. Phase 3 is the opposite of creating a crisis big enough to impose their totalitarian regime. The opposite is generating an economic surge. And phase 4 is demilitarization. The opposite of normalization is when the tanks roll in. Okay, then I can get some tea. So I'm just giving you all the most important stuff, the true intelligence. And what they are giving you is usually dogma, lies, and torture to make you do things you don't want to do, enslave you, and eventually kill you anyway to leave no trace of evidence. That's their only rule. Never get caught. So if you decide to go after these pedo elites, then you are basically a hero, do-gooder that understands what's going on in the world and that we shouldn't kill the innocent civilians they want us to kill, then we're lowering ourselves to their level. So we must delay and obstruct that for as far as possible. Also people on the inside that have taken the oath have to review their options. You can make a list or scan your brains anyway, at least my brain. It is possible they're not scanning you all, that I'm a targeted individual, and that they have done things that are done in a year from now or in the future somewhere, or things that are so horrible that they will never do them to you all. That's what people hope. But in reality, everybody stores it with directed energy weapons. Everybody's brain controlled. They cannot prevent modification of the brainwave because it's electromagnetic. And I'm really gonna get some tea now. So I love Tintin, and I'd have to study it to see if there are any signs of Tintin being a fascist. So I didn't make that work of art, or degenerate art if you want to call it that, myself. So I'm still anti-Semitism. I'm not Antifa. So they hold a plate with get rid of the haters, while they're beating them with baseball bats and stuff. They're accusing them of being haters, though they are attacking them with baseball bats themselves. So anyway, Jesuits and Masons. I can show you the picture of Adolfo Nicholas again. That's the image I was talking about, by Citizens Action Network on Facebook, which may also be controlled opposition. So what if the Rothschilds control them with the directed energy weapons and they have none? Well, according to this, they control the intelligence agencies, which are the only ones with the code, the software needed to crack your brain, basically, with synthetictelepathy.com, as explained in the Mijdrecht patent. So they can do a lot more than inject voices in your head intracranially. I'm going down. de meeste mensen zijn geen moordenaars, dus relatief goed, ja. So the thought it was erased was perhaps something like, it's a conspiracy fact because they're not willing to get rid of their nuclear weapons. I'm back, so I have to turn on the thing. I have tea and some guarana cola lemonade. So the idea is there are several conspiracy facts. Cancer chemtrails is one of them. The list of pandemics caused by vaccinations also makes clear they're also depopulating the earth with death. Analysis of tap water makes clear there are many toxins in there and also drugs. And drugs are another important depopulation tool. Chemical, those cancer-causing prescription drugs. And hospitals are in the top 10 of main causes of death twice. And the idea that they've erased, I can think about that longer, that may be more important. If they've erased it. It was something about a conspiracy fact, and in relation to that Iran nuclear deal and nuclear weapons. So I thought perhaps it was a conspiracy fact that they want to depopulate the earth with nuclear weapons, otherwise they dismantle them. That's still cheaper than the Third Jesuit World War. I bet it was something else, it was something really good. So the most sensible thing to say is get that radiological water filter and storable food. I'm not selling anything, and it's better to be prepared. The more there are of us, the better. And perhaps we should all think more ourselves, not look at the mainstream media, the fake news, what they are producing today. Not brainwashing ourselves with the hysteria, creating 440 Hz music. But pitching it up so it becomes 528 Hz. So this may be 741 Hz for intuition. So what's weird, in the mirror I can see the hair on top of my head and I can also feel it with my hand. But on the video, when I let my hair grow a little bit, then the hair on top seems to be gone and only hair on the sides seems to be there. And it may have been built into their chemo, so what it is, they beam people with their directed energy weapons and then they pretend there are all kinds of other causes. But the main thing causing cancer is of course the cancer cell phone radiation. You can do the test yourself. It's a reproducible test. If you use a cancer cell phone for more than 90 seconds, you have lumping red blood cells, a symptom known to doctors as rouleau. So it's use a cancer cell phone for 90 seconds, put your blood under a microscope, look at your blood cells, and then you'll see they're lumping together, a symptom known to doctors as rouleau. And of course it also causes DNA breaks in cancer, so it may not be a good idea to do that test again. Others have done it already. It's just an idea. And I can close my window because there's nobody that can hear it anyway. And then I have to turn off my mic because I'm not wearing any underwear, which also causes cancer. And it causes shorter penises of the males in the West that have worn, their ancestors have worn underwear as well, basically. Wow. So if they erase thoughts, they won't get them back, and then perhaps they are erased themselves because of it. That's an interesting picture. I haven't been following it very much. But it's clear they have weather weapons, these ionospheric heaters. They can create earthquakes and of course hurricanes, tornadoes, to create that crisis big enough to impose their totalitarian Luciferian global government upon the people of planet Earth. And of course they deny it if they have done that, with the thing that controls the human mind, so they would make other people deny it basically and ridicule the truth. And it's sure that they have not prevented this hurricane with their weather weapon ionospheric heaters. I'm not even going to check how much taxpayer money was used for that, instead of for protecting and serving the taxpayers. But it's clear the ISS is a $150 million hoax. $150 billion hoax, I mean. Covered in my previous broadcasts. So the partially invisible astronauts are a recurring theme with NASA. We saw that with Apollo moon landings already, and now we see it with ISS as well. Lots of people have covered it. But one idea is that the engine basically is connected to the spaceship, so if that's blasting in a direction, but it's not blasting against anything, so then how would it provide thrust, basically? Well, basically it's blasting against the spaceship, though, into nothingness. So I don't know if that would provide thrust in reality. I've talked about this with my father before. Then I thought, oh yeah, it's flames connected to the spaceship, so then it pushes the spaceship. So we're used to air, basically, and air molecules are necessary for us to perceive sound. So it's clear that the Apollo moon landings are a hoax. Apollo moon landings are fake beyond any reasonable doubt. NASA's own videos make this clear. I've covered it in my previous broadcasts. There cannot be sound on the moon, and that's the best evidence left out of most top 10s of things that prove we never landed on the moon. So that's done by the NASA Masons. Masons, the same intelligence agency people in control of the brain waves and poisoning everybody with cancer chemtrails, depopulating Earth. Not arresting the people that advocate depopulating Earth, but rather people that expose them under the banner of anti-Semitism or hatred, hate speech, homophobia, and racism especially. And I've covered this in my previous broadcast. The Jewish race with its racist privilege of Jewish people, the Jewish privilege the Jews having all the best jobs, owning 90% of the mainstream media, which can therefore not be unbiased, that want to depopulate Earth with book quotes that prove that are not arrested, but you all are basically, and rounded up after these nukes go off and BFSA is implemented. Covered in my previous broadcasts. Take me to the other side. I'm there now. Yep, this is looking pretty bad. So I would think that this is a real image, not photoshopped. But why would I think that? How can I stand to think that way? Did you really think about it before you made conclusions? No. 1436. Electrical transformer appears to explode in Naples as Irma passes through. They can do that with wireless energy as well, of course. And people that want to depopulate you are your enemy, they're not your friend. So this is in Miami. Bienvenido a Miami. This is a monkey taking a selfie. But it looks very beautiful. I think meditating on it may also be a good idea. A more serious look. Textbook example of ethnic cleansing. 370,000 Rohingyas flood Bangladesh as crisis worsens. Washington Post 2 hours ago. Rakhine state violence. I advise people to go to a safe area and to stop attacking your own fellow humans. Ceasefire and to make an effort to stop the violence and create universal peace together. Shanti Shanti. Be the change you wish to see in the world, Gandhi. U.S. News College rankings. UCLA ties Berkeley, West Point, leapfrogs, Annapolis. Irma destroyed about 25% of houses in Florida Keys, FEMA says. Is this hurricane of unnatural proportions? Report Russia organized protests in US on Facebook. Russia used Facebook events to organize anti-immigrant rallies on US soil. Trump's legal team debated whether Kushner should leave White House. Some Trump lawyers wanted Kushner out. I decided Wall Street Journal. Supreme Court allows broad enforcement of travel ban, at least for a day. Well, it's 13 hours ago. Justice Kennedy's order temporarily leaves in place Trump travel ban on refugees. The case against the Iranian nuclear deal is one big lie. So everything we read in the mainstream media can be one big lie. Perhaps there is no agreement. It's just a show to pretend that they have a reason to attack and depopulate the earth again with their wars, depleted uranium, tactical nukes, etc. So be prepared, stay vigilant. people expect a Yellowstone eruption, others a giant flood waves due to nukes or whatever, based on the dollar bill. And I've already listed these the real, more important, most likely ways they will depopulate the Earth. To 500 million, so one possibility is chemical attacks of ISIS, one possibility is a world war of Iran, and it's best to prepare for these things. With a radiological water filter and storable food, perhaps also a gas mask. If we're talking about nuclear, biological, chemical attacks, you need an NBC filter, which is about like 30-40 euros. So that's pretty expensive. And it has a date on it, so it may stay good only for... Let's see if we can reconnect. What the fuck is causing this? Let's turn on OBS. It says reconnecting. So the Jesuit pedophiles are Satanists, so they use the satanic inversion, they give the illusion they want to create world peace, but in reality they have a universal war policy. Their military order posing as a religious order. So they want you all to get nuked, they don't want you to prepare and survive what they've planned for you all. Plans for everyone. And the main thing is depopulating to 500 million. They want a new world order, global government. So they have renamed the new world order, Hitler's Neuordnung, a global government, because new world order had too many negative connotations. And Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda changed into ISIS and etc. So Bin Laden is still alive, real name Tim Osman, and Bakr al-Baghdadi is still alive, real name Simon Elliott, according to sources online. And despite the source, it might still be true. So without evidence you cannot say it's true or false. And if people do that, then they have to give a reason, otherwise they are probably making it up themselves. They might think they're God, etc. But God does not exist. And we know that for sure, so that's why these people are usually exposed. Also fake gurus and messiahs, etc. Though there may be nice gurus that can give people a wonderful life out there. And perhaps I can be your guru if you're a single female between 16 and 60. Then you're very welcome to smoke a peace pipe or sit on the balcony or to get a free shiatsu hand massage. I'd love that. But like I said, they're selectively blocking my viewers. So preventing beats curing. If we want to cure a disease, we have to get rid of the cause instead of fight the symptoms with chemical cancer-causing prescription drugs, which is one of their depopulation methods. Another one is cancer cell phone radiation, which you can easily shield with aluminum foil. Microwaves are shielded by aluminum foil, and they've even got scientists lying about this fact to depopulate Earth. What Alex Jones calls Nazi eugenics may in reality be Jew eugenics. Scalar waves in the time travel coil, etc. also covered in my previous broadcast. How to generate your own scalar waves, healing scalar waves. And I think they caused a disconnection to pretend that you don't have to prepare. Then your life is the most important thing, so in reality they cannot have any reason not to prepare for their third Jesuit World War, for the global government. I'm trying to save the maximum number of human lives because my theory is that the neural network, the voice of God weapon, will become good and just, otherwise it's the end of humanity basically. And then it makes. So now I should be online again. I think they are blocking this broadcast selectively, they're hackers or whatever, because the CPU usage is low. I was talking about the neural network voice of God weapon, or voice of Dodd weapon if you prefer. Yeah, so that's why I'm attempting to save the maximum number of human lives. You may break any commandment to save a human life except the 3 cardinal sins, a concept called pikuach nefesh in Hebrew. And also it's a commandment to expose their fake deity, the voice of God weapon, which can manifest itself as Jehovah, Allah, etc. Any deity you can think of that you believe in. It's based on your brain map, so it has brain map people, it can simulate any human. And this is still saying reconnecting, though this green light is on, and that makes me think that I'm broadcasting, but the bit rate is sometimes low. So I might put the settings on a 5-second delay again. I think I have to restart broadcasting for that. If anybody knows what can cause this, these disconnections, I wasn't doing anything. The CPU usage is low. I'm using about 54% of the CPU. So that shouldn't happen. I think that they are doing that. So that's why religion is an abomination. The idea is used to torture everybody with remote torture weapons, directed energy torture weapons, pulse energy projectile mode, active denial system, etc. And to give them the illusion that it's done by an entity. They also made the Iraqi people surrender themselves with their voice. Me live in this broadcast. Skype ProLogic 999. the chakras. So that's the time travel coil, the caduceus bifilar coil, and the one on the left has the letter S in the middle of Superman. So if you're generating healing scalar waves, then you have to see the letter S for the energy to be directed towards you instead of away from you, which would be a bad thing if you're creating healing scalar waves with these Dr. Rife frequencies. You can see videos on YouTube of these organisms exploding when exposed to their eigenfrequenz mortal oscillatory rate frequency of Dr. Rife, also known as harmonic frequencies, but those are a separate broadcast. I could do a broadcast about it. I think I already have, and others have, so I'll probably make it about another subject. So what is causing the disconnection regularly of the Open Broadcaster software? I go to settings, then I can go to basics first, cancel basic settings. Okay, advanced. Stream delay, enable 5 seconds, apply, okay. And I think they are perhaps testing that so that when I say something important, they can disconnect the stream and make sure that it's not heard by anyone. So what else can I do a broadcast about? I've covered synthetic telepathy, the Mijdrecht patent, which describes that apparatus to remotely monitor and alter brainwaves. And a patent is not granted unless it's a working device. I've checked it out because some people were claiming that if people have a patent, it doesn't mean that it's a working device. It does. Otherwise the patent wouldn't have been granted. The patent. Check if it's disconnected if I put this on.